Are you trying to get that kick-ass beach body back this year? Or maybe you just want to be able to wear your jeans without that little extra something hanging over the top. If any of those sound like you are in the right place. My name's Nicole. I'm a physical therapist and a mama, and today I'm going to talk about how you can get what I think is the most important ab muscle working again so that you can reach those fitness goals that you have been going. So, I've mentioned this muscle, the transverse abdominus muscle. I'm going to refer to it in this video as your TA muscle because transverse abdominus is just a lot of words to say, right? So your transverse abdominus muscle is underneath that rectus abdominis, or your six-pack muscle that gets all the publicity. You've got your obliques, you're doing your side planks, working your obliques. Everybody knows about those. This muscle is even below that. And it's crazy that it really doesn't get any publicity because it really is so important. It's actually like the corset that holds everything in your belly in place. So if this muscle isn't strong, you might have back pain, you might have incontinence, pelvic floor weakness, and most importantly, to a lot of people, you might not be able to get rid of that bottom belly flab that you've been trying to get rid of. And it might all have to do with your transverse abdominis not being strong enough and holding everything in. Because for those of you that have had babies for 9+ months, you've been growing, and this has been getting stretched. After baby, it goes back, but it does need to be strengthened up to get nice and tight and do its job effectively again. So let me just talk about the anatomy of this muscle. So you have your spine. This muscle connects to your spine, and it comes around and hugs you. And it's two different muscles, and so it doesn't connect. And so when everyone thinks about diastasis rectus abdominis, or your DRA, or this is getting a lot of publicity right now, it's that muscle right down the middle, or that space down the middle, basically when these two muscles aren't keeping tension with each other, that's when we see that separation. So related, but a lot of different functions besides just that diastasis recti. So you've got that muscle that comes around, but how do you feel it if it's under all those layers? Let me tell you. So what I want you to do, put your hands on your hips, like high hips, so you feel your pelvis bones. You should look like a sassy teenager at this point with some serious attitude. Start on the sides and make your way in until you basically fall off of your hip bones or pelvic bones. So you're coming around, you're on it, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, there's nothing in the middle there, right? Okay, that's the spot. That last point on the bone is called your ASIS. You have one on each side. Stands for something long. You probably don't care, so we're just going to call it ASIS for this video. I think it's most helpful when you're just trying to find your TA muscle to lie down. So find a comfortable spot on your bed, on a couch, yoga mat, something like that. And that's when find the ASIS bone. And because all your other muscles are kind of quiet when you're laying down, so hopefully it'll be a little bit easier to find your TA muscle. From that ASIS bone, you want to go in about 1 inch towards your belly button. Then you want to go down about 1 inch down towards your toes. So you're there. Press in about just gently, like a ½ inch, 1 inch, kind of depends how many layers of tissue you have there. But this TA muscle is kind of like saran wrap. So when it's not engaged, it's just loose. You can push into it. But as I'm going to show you some ways to contract that muscle, it should feel like that saran wrap is just tightening ever so slightly. So when you poke it, it's not going to not going to go down. It's going to bounce back just a little bit. That's what your TA muscle is supposed to do. So hopefully now your fingers are in the right spot. Let's work on some cues to get that muscle fired up and going. So, first cue, I want you to think about a string on your belly button, drawing your belly button down towards the mat or towards the bed that you're laying on. Not yanking it, not like fully as hard as it can, just gently pulling it down. And as you do that, maybe you start to feel some tension underneath your fingers. If so, you found your TA muscle. Congratulations. If not, it's okay. There's other ways to find it. So, if that didn't work, think about your ASIS bones coming together, like you were trying to make them touch. Think about drawing them in towards the line in the middle of your stomach. Anything yet? If not, I've got a few more tricks. Think about trying to fit a tight pair of pants. When you put those on, you just gently draw your belly in, right? And you're trying to get those zipped up. When you do that, most likely your transverse abdominus muscle is bringing everything in. Comment below if you found your TA muscle. I would love to know which of these cues work the best for you so that I can better help people like you find their TA muscles. If you can't find it and you're just totally frustrated, I really encourage you to get in touch with a women's health physical therapist in your area, in person, or maybe an online consult or a one-on-one conversation, so that they can give you different cues. There's lots of different ways to find your transverse abdominus. For those of you that know how to do Kegels and maybe have watched my other video about doing Kegels correctly, if you really draw up and in, most likely your transverse abdominus muscle is going to kick in at this point as well, because that whole system works together. And so likely as you're drawing up and in, your transverse abdominus muscles are drawing around. So that's another cue that can help people. So hopefully most of you have found your TA muscle now at this point. So now you're like, okay, cool, right? Well, it actually is pretty important. So for those of you that are getting back into working out, trying to build muscle back up, trying to reach your weight goals, that's great. But it really is important that you have your TA muscle engaged when you're squatting, when you're planking, when you're lunging, when you're even doing arm exercises. I mean, core muscles, in reference to this, what I think is the most important core muscle, really are important if you're going to reach your fitness goals. So, find it, learn how to turn it on and off. You've got it in laying. Now try sitting, try it in standing, and then engaging it during exercise. And the most important piece is once you learn how to turn this muscle on and off, use it. Use it when you're lifting baby. Use it when you're carrying the laundry basket. For you mamas that are still pregnant, use it when you're rolling over in bed to engage your core before you do that. These are things that are going to help keep you strong. Whether you're pregnant or postpartum, this muscle needs to be targeted, right? I don't care about your six-pack muscle, but I do care about this muscle because it's going to make everything else in your body work so much better when you have it strong and, most importantly, coordinated to kick in when you're going to do activities. Thanks for tuning in today. I hope you've learned a little something about your TA muscle today. If you liked what you saw, give me a thumbs up. If you have some more questions about it, comment below. I would love to answer those questions in the comments, or maybe even a whole nother video about a whole nother topic. Please subscribe to my channel if you liked what you saw and you want to hear more, and hit that bell for notifications so that you're the first to know about new videos when they're coming out. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see y'all again next time. Just scratch all that.